Niger Road Exchange Group has held its annual general meeting in Lagos, bringing together shareholders, executives and stakeholders to review the group's performance and strategic direction. It was a year of record-breaking success for NGX as the group posted its best financial performance in the history of the exchange. Profit after tax closed at over 9.9 billion naira, driven by revenue expansion, strategic cost optimization and increased market participation. The group announced its highest ever dividend payment, with shareholders set to receive a 144 billion naira payout, translating to a direct distribution. Let's have a look.
We are doing a lot of the issue of energy clearing, and we are not relenting. What we are doing is to make sure that at least we have looked at the organization the way it is. Let's know what is the actual position of that organization. If we need to take some head cuts, we need to take so that we can be able to move on. You be rest assured that we have so much interest in that energy clearing, and it's going to play the role that is being expected in this market. I believe by the time I invite the group CEO, who is the chairman of that company, that I can explain more on that one. Then coming to Patrick Ajudua, we have heard you very well in terms of the issue of the growth and the challenge being given by Nona on the progressive growth. Let me digress to assure you that on behalf of the board, Nona, with all humility, I believe we have moved this organization from where it was before. And I believe you have contributed in challenging us to do that. And we are giving you our awards that going forward, you only see growth in this organization. We have our names to protect. We have our investment in this NGS, and we will make sure that we are not only looking at here, we are looking at not only sub-Saharan Africa, but want to make sure that we have become leaders in the continent. And with your support, we will achieve that. Because, you see, there are some of the issues, if you can recall, when we had that issue, when we, after the AGM that we declared the dividend, it's not only the interim dividend. If you can recall, there is one of the major challenges that we are having in this organization, which is that Zenith Bank loan. Nobody is talking about Zenith Bank loan today. Whatever we have done, we did that within 1 year to make sure that we have taken out this Zenith loan without even coming to the shareholders, so that this is what we expect from shareholders to pay that loan. And we believe with the capacity of the directors, my own colleagues, and the support we are giving management, you take our awards, you only see growth, not only in terms of dividend, not only in terms of capital appreciation, but in whatever parameters you are going to judge us. We'll make sure that we have become a leaders in Africa. We are giving you awards. Then, Patrick, the issue of the commentation on the platform we provided, with all humility, the banks were able to succeed in their recapitalization exercise, raising trillions of naira within this platform. We bring this platform, and not only for the primary market. With this platform, we continue to upgrade that, get other platforms for the secondary market, so that we can improve in this. For us, at this NGS board, we believe that this platform have the capacity. We have professional stockbrokers that are well-equipped, well-trained, that can be able to execute any transaction, not only in Nigeria, but we can beat our chest and say we can compete with any other market. So it's just a matter of time. We just need this your support so that we can continue with the trajectory we have started, and you'll be rest assured we're on the same level.
If you look across many exchanges, London is a very prime example. Lots of delistings, but what we see is you will have smaller delistings, but people are landing big listings in return. So the aggregate market cap does not reduce. Our market also is no different. If you look at all the delistings we talk about, some of the high profile names, market cap 70 billion, 30 billion, 40 billion. But then you have maybe an Aradel listing on the NGX, several hundreds of billions. You have a Giregu Power listing, several hundreds of billions. You have a Bua Foods listing, several hundreds of billions. So a lot of the trend also as an exchange is to say, even if you're seeing the listings, where are those big ticket items, which is where the market is? NNPC and some of all these big companies that are today, we're working on with the board, with stakeholders, with management to make sure we can bring on the exchange to balance many of these tides. Away from that, there was a talk about the fines. We've also been encouraged as the holdco to stay away from regulation-related things. So I would say that we take that as noted by my colleague, I'm sure, in regulation, this concern that are there too many fines in the market and things of that nature. There was also the point, Chairman, around by Mr. Nona, the dividend policy. And I think we note that the board also had spoken to that, to have a policy that we can show to investors away from that. Let me speak about NASD because it came up both when Mr. Nona spoke and Mr. Boniface. The points are, I think, very, very apt. The reality is also we've got to look at our business less as competition, because the market is not big enough, our capital market today, that we're all competing in silos to crush ourselves. It's better to look at competition and look at ways to collaborate. When we look at some of the big listings we have had on the NGX, some of them have come from NASD. Aradel is a very prime example from last year. VFD listed on the NGX from NASD. And the question is, how do you get a bit more of that? If you could support this NASD, for example, that could be a feeder for our exchange. Many exchanges globally will have another smaller exchange. In fact, we have it that's called the Growth Board. Well, the reality is, imagine if a company focused almost exclusively on things like that. We spoke also just now about private capital, private markets. It's also possible that certain exchanges are able to execute faster on some of those kinds of strategy over maybe the big NGX. So our view with like an NASD, and indeed with, I would say, the exchanges in the market, is first to look through how can we together bake a bigger pie. And from there, downstream, of course, we will compete, but compete effectively. You know, one of the favorite competition examples I like is really, if you look at MasterCard and American Express, or maybe even Coca-Cola and Pepsi, you hardly ever see them crush themselves on pricing. It's on product differentiation. It's on coming together to expand their markets, and that pie is a bit bigger. Away from that, as I look to round up, is the issue around the NG Clear. This, as the chairman had said, is, of course, an important portfolio company for us. A few things there, but one of the notable things for everyone, I'm sure we're aware of the ISB bill that the SEC passed recently and that got approved by Mr. President under the watch and guidance of the DG of the SEC. It is very likely that that bill is very transformative. So there are a few things happening there. One, we have a DG of the SEC who's very keen for development of derivatives as an asset class in Nigeria. It supports that business. And the regulation also looking to support that. So what we are looking to do on the NGX side is really just, at least at the holding company level, support both our operating exchange and NG Clear, the KPIs that they drive, for example, their product development, to make sure that there's a bit more alignment. And then, of course, away from that, the chairman had spoken, I'm on the board of that company. What other things can we be doing rather than just, for example, derivatives on the NGX as it was set up to do before? And finally, was the point, Chair, on the exchange looking outside Africa. Very important point. Very quickly, the way we will think about our outside Nigeria partnership, strategy, I'll say is three areas. One, things like the Ethiopia exchange investment that we made. So you can always look for exchanges, Nairobi, Ethiopia, Ghana, look around and look for exchanges that you can invest in, but it's not just a financial investment. It's an investment where you're bringing your know-how. It's an investment where you're bringing value to them, and you in exchange get value. The second approach is really, are there things that we can export to those countries? We talk, for example, about the technology solutions that we launched on the NGX. Can we export that to other exchanges across Africa? Because the problems are the same. How do they drive retail investments? How do they drive primary market transactions? How do they drive secondary market transactions? So we're also looking to ask ourselves, what can we export, work with those exchanges and make some money from? And finally, on this sort of outside Nigeria strategy is partnerships. You might have noticed that the board spent quite a bit of time engaging with other exchanges last year in India, in Johannesburg, partnerships around technology deployment, around sustainability, around ESG, around cross listings and the like. As we look at Africa outside Nigeria, these are areas that we're looking to